Hello everybody, my name is Rainer and this is Rainier Books. I'm here to do a single review today of the novel Fire Rush by Jacqueline Crooks, a novel that is shortlisted for the Women's Prize in 2023 and, well, I say it deservedly, very well deservedly so. This is our dancing time. This is a novel that I absolutely loved. I was so curious about getting it because I loved the cover, this beautiful black woman here on the cover and all the colors that sort of evoke the notion of reggae music, of music from Jamaica and reggae. And this is maybe a little bit more about dub than about reggae. And I know the difference between dub and reggae music is, well, it's basically it is as it was played in the original version in the 1960s. Dub was a music from Jamaican reggae, coming from Jamaican reggae. It was basically reggae songs that were where the vocals were extracted, so that you got an instrumental version of a reggae song, and then people in clubs, so-called toasters, would put lyrics, sometimes spontaneous lyrics, sometimes written lyrics on them, and they would sort of dub. And that's dub music. And it was played in a lot of clubs in the UK, but of course in the United States, in Jamaica, and wherever the Jamaican diaspora was to find. This book, I love it. It is the story of Yamei, who is a young woman living in Norwood in London. And it is the 1970s, the end of the 1970s. I think 1978 to 1981 is, or 1982 is actually the period when this novel is playing. It is the story of Yamei and her two girlfriends, first in the beginning, Asasi and Rumour, one of them being an Irish girl. And they live in Norwood, they live in the Tombstone estate, and their life circles a lot about the music and the dub music that they dance to each and every night in the Crypt, which is a beautiful nightclub where they sort of can let out their emotions, let out their feelings. And Yamei, the lead character who's also telling the story as an eye narrator, she is also a toaster. She makes music herself. She makes dub. And then she meets this guy, Moose, and falls in love with him. It's her, I think, first great love, probably. It's a beautiful love story. It is beautifully described. We have both the club atmosphere, and then the love story is described in a very beautiful, warm, emotional way. It's not cliche, it's not stereotypical. It's just how love can be, and you really can feel with Yamei and her boyfriend, how they develop this beautiful relationship with each other. But then tragic things happen. It's the time with a lot of racism, not only in the United States. We talk a lot about Black Lives Matters and violence against Afro-American people in the United States, but there's also the same situation of racism in the UK, and that's not so much talked about, I think, both in literature and also in real life, in the media. And Jacqueline Crooks shows that in her book. It's the scene also when black people are being treated very badly by the police in the end of the 1970s. And surprise, surprise, and it's a bad surprise, I think that nothing much seems to have changed until 2023 in that respect. It's the time of the Brixton riots, when in Brixton in London, where a place that I visited a couple of times, in Brixton you have riots in 1982, I think. It's this time, it's Margaret Thatcher who is the new Prime Minister of the UK, and politics get grey. It's politics for the rich, and the poor get poorer, and a very conservative Britain that we see. And the Crypt is a very good place to sort of let out the feelings and live in a different world. And then tragic things happen according to the police violence. And the second part of the book, which the book is told in three parts, the second part of the book is playing in Bristol. And there we also have a very strong, a very huge Jamaican scene. There Yamei gets into a totally different situation. And she is together with, yeah, I don't know actually if she's voluntarily together, probably not, with a man, even in the beginning, with a man called Manasseh. And Manasseh is one of the kingpins in a gang, in a Jamaican gang in Bristol. They rob people, they do burglaries, and he is also very abusive. It is a patriarchal society, and he says to Yemei, nobody will ever leave me, and you're not going to leave me. That's not what you're going to do. But then in the third part of the book, we find ourselves and we find Yemei in Cockpit Country in Jamaica. Never heard of it before, I have to admit. But Cockpit Country, I always go on YouTube when I read books like that and look for videos about places, for example, that I never have visited. So I went on YouTube and saw a video about Cockpit Country, which is being described as one of the most remote areas of Jamaica. And the history of Jamaica, which I also had to learn a little bit about to enjoy this book even more, is not told in this video, but it was first a colony of the Spaniards when Columbus found Jamaica for white people from Europe, and then sort of Columbus, as he did almost everywhere where he landed, he sort of got rid of the native population. He almost killed everyone by diseases and by violence, and then they imported slaves from Africa. But then Spain got weaker and weaker as a superpower, and the UK took over Jamaica. They also imported, which means forced, many people from Africa to Jamaica to work for them on their plantations and to make money and profit for the Commonwealth. So, but a little fraction of Jamaican people flew into Maroon Country, into Cockpit Country, among others, which is a very mountainous area, which is very difficult to access. And in this area, the Maroon Country, the Maroons is a very special group of people in Jamaica, where also some indigenous people are left of the original population of Jamaica. So this is the part where we find Yemei. In the third part of the book, we find Itiba, who is the grandmother of Moose, her first boyfriend, and we also get into some pieces of ghosts and of supernatural beliefs that people in Jamaica has. There's a lot of power, there's a lot of strength and energy that not only Itiba, the grandmother, has, but also Yemei gets from her grandmother and gets from Jamaica. And don't forget that Yemei is also desperately looking for her mom, because her mom left when she was a little girl, and she lives with her father, who's abusive, who has beaten her as a child, not anymore, luckily, but he has beaten her as she was a child. She lives with him in London, and she only knows that her mother has disappeared. Father says she has disappeared to Guyana in South America, and Yemei is going to Jamaica not only to find the roots of Moose, but also find information about her own mom. And she desperately wants to know what happened to my mother. Why did she leave me? Is she alive today? She's going back to the roots in so many ways. Back to the island where her parents once came from. Back to the island where her big love came from. Back to the island where her mother came from. And back to the mother. She's the body, the person that she came from in the original, in the literary sense of the meaning. So this is also the search for the roots, but in a double sense, back to the country, and also the search for the mother. And it's also a story of liberation for a young black woman in London, England first, and in Bristol. She has to survive. She's really under duress. She's really in danger, and she has to be strong to get out of this. And will she get out of it? I won't tell you, but she's an eye narrator. So even as we know with Demon Copperhead and Barbara Kingsolver's novel, which is also shortlisted for the Women's Prize, because Demon is an eye narrator, also Yemei is an eye narrator, we know that she will survive in some way. So this book has so much. It is told in a beautiful language. You always feel the rhythm that sort of the rhythm that comes from the dub music, from the reggae music, originally from the reggae music that is taken, that is sort of condensed to instrumental music, and Yamay as a musician, and in that she also expresses herself. This is so fantastic. I love this novel. Fire Rush by Jacqueline Crooks is my winner of the Women's Prize of. I hope that this novel really wins the Women's Prize of 2022. I will make a winner prediction later on when it comes closer to the award ceremony. I love Fire Rush by Jacqueline Crooks. Read it. And I found my way back to reggae music with this book, and also to dub music. And there is also a playlist on Spotify, which I will link down below, that the author herself, Jacqueline Crooks, has made. Just read it, get it. It's worthwhile. See you soon. Bye.